Adam Fitzgerald here, and I'm here with Mrs. O'Shea from United Way of Greater Lafayette. So, Mrs. O'Shea, how long have you been working here? What do you do here? And can you go into that for me?
Sure. So I'm Amy O'Shea, and I am the Director of Community Impact here at United Way of Greater Lafayette. And I've been here for about 6 years, so have worked in this community prior to that and have been here for about that time. Yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell me more about United Way on a regional and national level?
Sure, yeah. Actually, United Way is a worldwide organization, so there are United Ways across the globe. Most of them are in the United States, and so we do enjoy being a part of a worldwide network, so we can learn and understand and network across the country and across the world from what other communities are doing, and it can be a really hugely valuable resource to us. But each United Way is local to their community, so we raise money for our local community. We address needs that we see and that others identify here in our community as well. So we serve Tippecanoe County.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now I'm just going to jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
So my project is dealing with poverty. So what are the numbers on poverty at the moment in Lafayette, and how are these comparative to other cities?
So we see here in Tippecanoe County, which is Lafayette, West Lafayette, and some surrounding areas, we see as of 2014 a 22% of people living in poverty. As that compares to Indiana, in the same year, 2014, there were about 15% of families or people living in poverty in the state of Indiana. So from that, a little bit ahead or higher than the state average, but we are trying to address those needs of those living in poverty here in our community.
Okay, sure. And then the next question I would ask is, why is poverty an issue in Tippecanoe County? Like, what are the overarching factors that lead to poverty?
Sure. There's, as we think of it, there's kind of two types of poverty. Some situational, and so that might be a temporary life event or something that causes you to kind of fall in that category. And some also kind of on a generational poverty level. So we see people generation after generation seeing that tends to be where they might lie and fall in the poverty level. It's a complex issue. There are a lot of factors that go into it, but we do see that seeing something better for yourself, having hope of education, having hope of obtaining a better job, having the thought that you can improve yourself is really important for families as we move along. We also see that there are issues that may lead to, as I mentioned, a temporary crisis, or may further perpetuate living in poverty. And particularly here in our community, we're seeing a real need around an issue around mental health and substance abuse, addiction, to be addressed, because that is one reason that people are falling into poverty or having financial troubles, or not able to sustain a full-time employment or keep a job. And we see that there's not enough providers and difficulties around maintaining health insurance to be able to have access to those providers if you do have some sort of issue related to mental health or substance abuse. So there's a number of reasons that are factors that kind of lead into that, and it's a really complex issue. Root causes that sometimes go on and on, generation after generation.
Sure. And then the last thing with this question is, could you go into education and how the education how education is important in regards to poverty.
Oh, absolutely. So, actually, let me talk a little bit about United Way's Cradle to Career Continuum, because I think that might frame it a little bit for you. So, United Way addresses really poverty, but also addresses needs in our community with a framework of a cradle to career continuum. So there's sort of milestones along a person's life that are kind of checkpoints that we want to make sure that people are on the right track at each of those checkpoints. So we want people to be born healthy. So having mothers be concerned about prenatal care, or having a healthy birth weight, things like that are really important. And then the next kind of checkpoint is that we want not, of course, people to be born healthy, but then children to be learning as they grow, because we want them to be ready for kindergarten and enter kindergarten ready to succeed in school. So we do some, as a general rule, we fund agencies and we fund programs that impact all areas along the continuum. So enter kindergarten ready to succeed is the next one. The next milestone is to read at grade level at third grade. There's a huge body of research that shows that if a child is reading on grade level in third grade, then there's a very high correlation with them graduating high school on time. So of course that's important. And then we want children to be, as they grow, we want them to persevere in middle school and to have a smooth transition in middle school. That's a difficult time for a lot of students, and especially if you start school behind, you're more likely to stay behind. So we want to be able to continue on and persevere in middle school. And of course, graduate high school is a really important milestone. And then beyond that, be career ready. And that could mean to obtain additional training or certifications, could be to go on to college or higher education. But to have people in our community who can fill the jobs that are needed to be filled in our community. Beyond that, our Cradle to Career Continuum also has kind of safety net services. So additional things along the way. You might need to have support with food insecurity. So we also fund services, our local agency, Food Finders, that provides food. We also might need, you might find yourself in a situation where you would need transitional housing service. And so some of those pieces are also really important along the continuum as well. So some of the kind of the safety net services are also a part of what we do in our community, or help support in our community.
Yeah, perfect. And then the next question continues right from that. What is United Way of Greater Lafayette doing right now to combat this poverty?
So yeah, we right now are in a fundraising cycle. So each fall we do a major campaign to raise money to allocate to many organizations in our community that are doing great work in addressing challenges, families with challenges. And so we are hoping to raise $5,075,000 this year. Wow, it is a lot, but our community can do it. When we set a goal and put our mind to something, our community really does step up to the challenge and can really make a big impact in that way. So we're looking to do that. We'll allocate that money to organizations who are addressing some sort of need along the continuum, whether it's being born healthy or helping people be job ready, or anything along the way there, or having supporting a safety net service. So that is our biggest project at the moment, to really help that. Now beyond that, we also do additional programming to meet needs that maybe are otherwise unmet. For example, we have our Read to Succeed program that recruits 600 volunteers a year to spend an hour a week in a local classroom. We know that the schools are doing amazing work to help students improve their literacy skills, of course, be on track to move from grade to grade and be ready to graduate high school. But schools can't do it all alone, and so we're partnering with volunteers to provide an additional set of hands, an additional caring person in the lives of some students in our community who could really use a little extra support. And that's been a really, really wonderful program that people have been a part of in our community. In addition to that, we have other programs to, for example, our kindergarten countdown camp addresses Enter Kindergarten Ready to Succeed. We had 250 students last year who participated in camp. Those generally are students with little or no preschool experience, so people who maybe haven't sat in a preschool classroom before or understood what classroom structure is like, are able to come for 4 weeks in the summer for half days. It's basically kindergarten before you get to school, so it's a chance for those young children to experience school before they get there, and we find that really helps. Of course, gain in literacy skills and math skills, but also in some social and emotional skills that then they are able to start school. Instead of crying the first week of school, they are confident and ready. They can become leaders in the classroom right off the bat instead of starting kind of unsure and behind and that sort of thing. So that's another really wonderful program. We also run a VITA program, which is a volunteer income tax assistance. And that's sort of like a safety net program where we prepare tax returns for families making under $50,000 so that they can have their tax return done for free of charge and done properly by IRS trained volunteers. And that it's an incredibly valuable service to many people in our community.
Okay. Yeah, all of those sound like great programs. A lot of them deal with education. So my next question would be, can you emphasize how important it is to stay on track in education and how to not fall behind? Because like with the check marks or the checkpoints on Cradle to Career, like how important is it to stay on track in order to not fall into poverty?
Absolutely. So we find that in our community here, about 40% of students are not ready for kindergarten when they come to school on the first day. And that's kind of based on some benchmark assessments, but not ready for kindergarten sometimes looks like you have never held a pencil before. Sometimes that looks like maybe I don't know my ABCs or things like that. But it can also mean I'm hungry when I come to school, or I have other family challenges that prevent me from being ready to learn when I come to school. So that is certainly an issue across our community. Some things we try to do to prevent that or assist that, as I mentioned, the kindergarten countdown program can help build skills and both academic skills and social emotional skills, but also having other agencies providing some of those supports. So along the continuum, of course, being ready for kindergarten and third grade reading, we have agencies that are providing after-school programs or mentoring programs that really help to bring a child along if the issue might be academic. Certainly after-school programs can help with that. Or if maybe they just need a little additional support, maybe a mentor from a big brother or a big sister might really help that child move along the continuum. So it's amazing to see some of the agency work that really folds into our continuum to help bring people along.
Okay.
Is that answering your question?
That does.
Another thing that I will highlight is our high school graduation and career readiness. We have an organization in our community, Lafayette Adult Resource Academy, that helps train folks to have their high school equivalency degree and to prepare them for the workforce in other ways as well. So other credentials or certifications they can help connect them to. And so really there's something, each step of the continuum is addressed by an organization in our community, or and our safety net services are also definitely addressed by organizations in our community doing great work and that are supported by United Way.
Okay. My next question is then, it's important to have a great education. In dealing with how much money each family makes to stay above the poverty line, how would you tie education into that? Like the importance of graduating from high school to make enough to support your family, and just like going with that.
Yeah, so the federal poverty level currently is, or I think this is 2015 data, but one individual making $11,770 a year falls at the 100% of poverty. So if you have a family of four, that's $24,250 a year. And in other terms, if you have a family of four with two parents working minimum wage jobs, they would both have to work 61 hours a week, both of them, in order to provide a sustainable life where we would not rely on subsidies. So that's a lot. And so the families living in poverty have, some have two parents who work 61 hours a week in order to maintain a livable wage and to support their families. So that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of concern, a lot of worry. When you think about all the factors that might go into that, of affordable housing, affordable childcare if your children are young, or if they're school aged, what to do, what are your children doing after school or before school in some cases. And so we do find that providing supports for those families is absolutely important, and providing a way that families can improve their working condition or perhaps their education level, so that they can obtain a higher paying job and maybe less hours per week to continue to support their family at a sustainable way. And there, again, are services in our community that can help families along that path if that's their choice.
Okay, perfect. So then my question following all of this is, what is the mission of United Way, of specifically Greater Lafayette, and then just as a whole?
So our mission at United Way is to mobilize our community to improve lives. And in many ways, we do that again by raising money and by finding great programs and great agencies that are doing work to serve people in the federal poverty level, but also sometimes a little bit above the federal poverty level, who are really, really working hard to make ends meet, but do need a little additional support. So raising money, giving it to agencies who are doing great work, and doing some of our own work here through programs like Read to Succeed, Kindergarten Countdown Camp, and VITA, are ways that we kind of really help to make our mission come to life.
Okay, yeah. And then it seems that it's very daunting to take on poverty. So my question is, United Way is doing a fantastic job of that, but what can the general population do to aid this fight against poverty?
Yeah, it can really seem super overwhelming. I think I'm just one person. How can I make a difference? How can I, what can I do? But at United Way, we think of it in terms of give, advocate, volunteer. And so what that might look like is you may not be able to move the needle on the number of people living in poverty, but you could give $5 every paycheck to be able to support an agency who might be supporting families or providing mentors to children or providing food to those who are hungry. So that's one way we impact, or people can impact, is certainly by giving. Another is to advocate. So you as an individual, or maybe with an organization that you work with, you have a voice, and you can help to spread the word about what's going on in our community. You can help people understand what is happening, and you can help others understand some of the great work that is happening in our community. So be a cheerleader for an agency, or for a United Way campaign, or for a need to be filled in our community. So by helping to spread the word, an individual can certainly make an impact. And then another thing that we really see is that you as an individual, or any individual, could be a volunteer. And that might look like reading to kids for 1 hour a week through the Reach Succeed program. That might look like using whatever your special set of skills or talents might be. Maybe you're a great writer, so you can help an agency write grants to obtain additional funding. Or you might be able to just sit and listen to a kid read, or teach a English as a second language, or help provide mentorship to a child that can then help support them as they grow. So we think of that again in terms of giving, advocating, and volunteering to really make a difference in the lives of people right here in your very own community.
Perfect. So that is all I have for you. So thank you very much for all of your insights and knowledge. And is there anything else you want to add?
I just want to applaud you. You're doing a great job of listening and learning about this topic, and it's an important issue here in our community and across the nation and world, and having a better understanding of it is a really important thing. So well done.
Thank you for meeting with me.
Yep.
Have a nice day.
Thanks, Adam.